What is up, guys? We are at week 0. Like, we have real football to talk about, and we're going to
Well,
have real football.
kind of.
Okay, stop it. We're not gonna put anyone on blast. We have real
We are.
football that we can tune in to watch this weekend, man. I'm so pumped for this weekend, and I know you guys are too. And I think Saturday, man, we got games from, I believe, 12 o'clock, Brandon, starting on Fox all the way to like 9 p.m. Central Time on like CBS Sports Network. Man, I'm so pumped for this, and I'm just glad that we are finally talking some real college football. And we're going to start out here talking about UConn. Fresno State kicks off at 1 p.m. Central Time on CBS Sports Network, and Fresno State is a 27.5-point favorite, Brandon. So when you look at this matchup, I'll give like a brief overview for anyone tuning in who is trying to get into these matchups. I know your favorite team probably isn't playing this weekend, but we got to get some hype behind these games. It's the return of the Huskies, Brandon. That's what we're calling it. They set out last year in 2020, and then Fresno State is really looking to make a run for the Mountain West title, Brandon. They're coming off a 500 season, but they returned a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, especially the offensive side of the ball, in which they had one of the most efficient offenses in the group of 5. And then UConn, Brandon, we know the struggles. You've been vocal, especially for some reason on the podcast about this as well. 3-21 their past 2 seasons. They're looking to rebound. Brandon, this will be their first game since November, I believe, 20th, 2019. So I think the energy is going to be there for both of these teams. But for you, what are some of the matchups you're looking for? What are you looking forward to watching this game, and kind of break down like what you're looking at?
There's not. I mean, Zach, I'll be honest with you, man. And I did my research for this. There's not a single matchup that I'm looking forward to in this game. There's really not. And I say that as somebody who pays attention to games mostly because I gamble. Who cares? But UConn they are plus 1,600 in this matchup. Zach, do you know how bad that is against another Group of 5 team? Like that's like I can't even put that into words. The over under here is 62.5, Zach, and I'm pretty sure that's because line makers were like, yeah, I bet Fresno State could score 63 on them. I bet they could do that. Now, and I'd like to make it abundantly clear. I know Zach's like, we're not going to talk trash. I'm going to talk trash. So we are not covering this game because it's a good one. We're covering this game because it's on this weekend. If you're a Fresno State fan, good for you. Your team is actually going to be decent this year. Zach already mentioned you might win the Mountain West, and that's true. UConn, there's no conference you're fighting for here. You got kicked out of the AAC, basically. And I want to mention this, Zach. UConn is one of those teams. I know you said I've been vocal about them. I guess it has been mostly me now that I'm thinking about it. But they have caught like the most flack out of any team on this entire podcast. Like this is our 3rd season.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like Jim Harbaugh is calling your phone right now, being like, "Do you know who's on the other end?"
That's true, Zach. But I guess my point here is that UConn and college football should never be in the same sentence. Like, there's never a good reason for that. And I just don't understand how we keep coming back to them. They didn't even play last season, Zach. We still found a reason to talk about them. So I don't know what's up with that. Fresno State is a really good team, Zach. And I guess the thing, if I had to choose one thing I'm most excited for in this game, it's how well this offense is going to perform. And truth be told, Zach, this offense should be able to do really anything they want at will in this game. I've got my prediction ready. I'm going to let you talk about it and break it down a little bit more because you're more the analytical guy. But, man, this is going to be – or this should be just a slaughter, like from the very start.
But listen, I mean, we got like the perfect, I guess, dynamic here. Like all the fans who just like unsubscribe because like you just went on like a random tangent. Like, yeah, all the UConn fans, they're gonna subscribe again after hearing me talk, and all the fans that just want to hear the trash talk are gonna unsubscribe after hearing me talk, and then hearing you talk kind of keeps them around. Yeah, and. For me, looking at this matchup, man, the biggest thing for me is, like you said, the offense for Fresno State. They've returned their top 3 players, Brandon, and it was the most efficient offense in the Mountain West last year, one of the most efficient in the country. When you look at Jake Hadner at quarterback, Brandon, he was a transfer from Washington, and I thought he showed major promise. Brandon, only 6 games last year, he threw for over 2,000 yards and 14 touchdowns.
Yeah,
That's outstanding production. And Brandon, this is the crazy stat for me. He was 8th in the entire country, not group of 5, the entire country, 8th in big time throw rate at almost 10%. So he can push the ball down the field, and he's not afraid to make those throws, and his arm strength is there. This offense is going to rely on him to be more consistent, though, Brandon. Even though most of his games were great games, he still had 2 games where he didn't even break a 50 grade for Pro Football Focus last year. So I want to see that consistency throughout the year, and that's really what's going to separate this Fresno State team from competing for the Mountain West and kind of falling back to that mid-level Mountain West team, which we've seen. And also Ronnie Rivers and Jalen Cropper are both back, and that's like it's like the trio of offensive weapons that Fresno State has that is going to give UConn a lot of problems. Now, the question for me, though, Brandon, in this game is, can either team generate any sort of pass rush? And then also on the flip side, which team can develop some O-line chemistry early? Fresno State, Brandon, had the 2nd worst offensive line in the Mountain West last year, while UConn only returned 2 starters from their 2019 unit that had one of the worst sack percentage rates in the country. So neither offensive line performs well. And when you look at a player like Travis Jones from UConn, Brandon, he is a key here because he can be a game changer just by himself on the interior of that defensive line. Brandon, he was a top 25 pass rusher in the entire country in FBS total, where he had 4 sacks, 11.5 tackles for loss, 85 tackles in total over his first few seasons. He's going to have to make an impact, though, Brandon, in both the running game and the pass rush aspect of this game for UConn to have a chance, because outside of him, they don't have a lot of stars that you're going to be able to lean on that defensive side of the ball, especially when you're going up against such an explosive offense. And then also, before we get into predictions, the quarterback position is going to be a storyline for UConn, Brandon. They still don't know who's technically going to be the starter. There's rumors that Jack Zaragotis is going to take the first snaps. But Brandon, he went through a lot of struggles 2 seasons ago. 9 touchdowns to 11 INTs with under 60% completion percentage. He ranked the 3rd worst quarterback in the entire country, Brandon, in terms of Pro Football Focus grade. So that cannot happen if UConn expects to compete for anything this year, especially a bowl bid. And when you look at the depth of this team, Michael Leon could compete for some time. Stephen Krajewski could also compete for some time, but really and truly, Zaragotis is probably going to be the guy to be QB1 this year. The whole question mark for me is, against a Fresno State defense that's not that strong, can he play well enough to keep them in the game by keeping up with a Fresno State offense that's probably going to average 30 to 35 points a game this year?
No, absolutely not. In my opinion, no chance.
It's fine. And, these offensive lines are young. And, Brandon, with not playing last year, it's also going to be interesting to see what UConn pulls out, man. I mean, that team's going to be fired up. That team's going to be ready. And I wouldn't be surprised, Brandon, as much as Fresno State is the heavy favorite here, I would not be surprised for UConn to take an early lead just because of all that momentum and passion and being excited to be on the field. But for me, I feel like down the stretch is where you're really going to see Fresno State separate themselves. And that's why right now, Brandon, I have Fresno State over UConn 52-17 this weekend.
Okay, I actually really like that. You had a more outrageous score than I did, and I'm over here talking the most trash anybody's ever talked. I've got Fresno State 48-10, guys. And for you at home who are gambling, that Fresno State is a 27.5-point favorite. I had that hitting. If I had to give that on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident I am, that's about a 9.5. They absolutely have to beat them by 4 touchdowns. Over under 62.5. I had that going under. Zach has it going over. That one's kind of a split. I'd go with like a 4 on that one. And as far as the money line goes, obviously Fresno State is minus 6,000. I don't know a book that will let you even take that because that's free money. That's an 11 out of 10 on my confidence scale.
I mean, and listen, if you're trying to make a quick buck, man, just throw like $10 on plus 1,600 for UConn. Because like if the craziness happens, just imagine.
Yeah, that's $160 right there. Or
There you
if you
go.
take the safe route, like maybe you want to like invest in like a Roth IRA, go ahead and put like your life savings on Fresno State, and then that's just like small returns, but it's a little
Oh
bit.
man, the gambling advice here. But man, we appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Make sure to subscribe right now. We have more game previews coming all later this week. Make sure to subscribe, turn on your post notifications. For game previews, man, we got 3-4 episodes a day coming y'all's way. So make sure to tune into the Blue Bloods now. But guys, for B-Dub, myself, we are out.